Welcome, everybody, to the All Elite Zone podcast. I hope you guys are having a great week so far. We have a very fun, interesting episode for y'all tonight. We are going to be having a Shakeup themed episode on what stars in AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan, or WWE would be a lot better off in different companies. So basically how the structure is going to work tonight, we're going to start with AEW to ROH, and we'll go from there. So the premise of this is to see who would benefit to actually go to a different company or a different brand, or who could benefit by just visiting Japan. I'm not sure where Connor went, so I'll save him for the introduction for last. So let me introduce you guys to the panel tonight. We have the crazy Florida man, the bearded wonder. We have Adam. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I'm excited for this one tonight.
Me too, man. It was a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun coming up with the idea for this show. It started with just kind of thinking who would benefit actually going to Japan and training in the dojo. So that's what kind of got my wheels turning on this show. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. All right, next we have the Golden Boy. We have the future doctor. He's also the leader of Bullet Club tonight. Welcome, Aiden, to the show.
What's up? I'm glad. I'm happy to do this topic. It's been one that I think about a lot, so it'll be fun.
Awesome, man. Well, welcome aboard. And then finally, we have everybody's favorite producer. He is the mastermind of the All Elite Zone. We would not have this great podcast and platform without Connor. Connor, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing really good. This is a very different subject and a different topic. So it's really good to be on.
Yeah, it's something that I haven't seen a lot of. I've seen a few lists out there from some of the bigger podcasts, but nothing like this specific and different. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. So before we get started, I see we have a couple comments already from Josh. So Josh, thank you for messaging us. He'll be going to AEW in Toronto. Wow, that's going to be a lot of fun. Sounds like from what Jericho was saying, it's going to be a pretty big show. So awesome, brother. And then before we get started on our topic, he actually asked us a question. What do you guys think about AEW having a third weekly show on TV?
AEW Collision.
I'm excited for it because I feel like there's a lot of talent that could be used more. I'll talk about them later, but Private Party, I want to see them. I very much like Private Party. So third weekly show, get them on TV more.
Do you think it needs to be like at a different time frame? Like, do you think that's kind of what's killing Rampage at the moment? Do you think like it should be like maybe on like a Monday or Tuesday night or maybe Saturday? Like,
I think that's the plan. Saturdays at 6:05.
I think Saturday works nice because
Saturday's perfect because that's usually when ECW used to air too. ECW would do Saturdays at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm curious to see how it's gonna go. It's just
like all I hope. All I hope is the graphics are like Capital Punishment or like Collision. Like we think of Collision.
Yeah. It's gonna be. I'm hoping it works out if it does happen. I still like Rampage, but it's just so hard to stay up, 9, 10 o'clock at night, especially on a Friday or Saturday night, especially like people being busy. So yeah, it's. I'm hoping it goes well. So.
A lot of people don't expect this, but Rampage's DVR numbers out like they blast NXT.
No kidding.
Like DVR, a lot of people forget about DVR.
It doesn't count. They're not actual viewers.
Yeah,
it's terrible. But that's the thing I think people forget too. And this goes for Raw and SmackDown as well. Like there's times like where people like don't have the time to watch wrestling 5-6 days a week. Because think about it, we have AEW programming every single day from YouTube to ROH to Dynamite to Rampage. So, it's a good thing, but at the same time, like there's a lot of content out there. Same thing goes with WWE. You have Raw, NXT, SmackDown, and then of course you have everything on Peacock. So I don't know. I would love more just to see an AEW streaming service and then put house show matches on there. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And then Mike brings up another fun point because I don't know if you guys know this, but AEW is going to the UK. He brings up AEW is going to have strong UK ratings. They do. They outsell WWE over there with viewership.
Yeah.
So
I know I've been reading a lot of comments from people on Facebook boards, and a lot of people were saying, mostly WWE Mark, saying that they don't think they'll sell a lot at Wembley, but for I think that it's 90,000 seats. I would be happy if they sold 60 to 70. I mean, I would say 60 to 70 would be a win actually for AEW.
Yeah.
I think if they could, I think 40,000 to 60,000 would be a success.
Yeah.
I think Bully Ray actually brought up a very good point on Busted Open when they announced it. Was, think about it. You go to like a place like UK where you're not going there, almost regularly, like, maybe once a year thing. You'll probably sell out a 5,000 seat venue. But the thing is, there's probably 5, 10, 20. There's going to be a lot of UK viewership that's going to come in, and also Europe too. They have a very prime spot from people coming in from Germany, from probably Russia, Italy. Just so it's going to be interesting to see how many actually tickets they sell.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of American fans go too.
Yeah, like I would do a huge convention there, like kind of like WrestleCon. Make it like make it a travel destination, like how WrestleCon, WrestleMania week is. And that way you have people like Bret Hart, you have, May Sabu, you have a list of legends that come over, and that maybe use like Bret Hart in like an Owen Hart Cup, like, crowning the champion of that. So there's a lot they could do with this. Aiden, what do you think about the whole British show going on? Like, what is your thoughts on that stadium show?
I'm very excited, and I have a take on like what a lot of people say will be and won't be successful for AEW. I feel like the general fan's opinion on what is successful shouldn't really matter. The only opinion that matters on if it's successful or not is Tony Khan's, and thus AEW's. If they make a profit and that's what TK wants to consider successful, that's it. If they just put on a banger show regardless of attendance and TK considers that successful, that's it. There's like, everyone's saying, oh, they need to sell out this many seats. Oh, this many seats. Like,
they can at least sell one ticket, and they've done good.
I just think that like it should just be whatever their goal is. If their goal is to sell 30K, but random name bunch of numbers on Twitter says, oh, it needs to be a sellout, otherwise it's not successful. It's like, they're wrong. So,
well, even WWE lies about their numbers when it came to WrestleMania this year.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of empty seats but they just cover it well and say, we set the world record again. But
I seen at SummerSlam, like the whole thing was covered out, but you won't hear that from WWE fans.
It's kind of like a double-edged sword. Think about it, because you could sell 40, 50, 60,000 tickets, be very successful, but you didn't sell out the stadium, so you're not as good as WWE. It's just like people don't understand it as a business perspective. If you look at it, heck, your first time in England and you sell 40,000 tickets, that's quite a bit. That's almost outdraws SummerSlam or the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with that. Also, the other big news: Jay White is All Elite. What did you guys think of Jay White's debut? Did you guys like it? Do you think they should have done it differently?
I think it was different, where he just came out with nothing at all, and it's just immediately. If I were to do it like that, I would have just had both Ricky Starks and Juice Robinson like in the ring, and then it cuts to his entrance like on the Titantron. And then he appears like behind him or something. I don't know. It was just kind of goofy watching him like sprint out. I think that was a bit goofy, but that's it. That's my like.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I mean, I think it was exciting. I kind of sensed he was going to AEW. I mean, we had talked about it. I know I mentioned it that because he's done a lot of things with AEW already, that I felt like he was going to go there eventually. But this also opens the door for the whole Ricky Starks and Action Andretti versus Juice Robinson and Jay White. I think that would be a really good tag match with those four guys. I mean, you got Forbidden Door coming up too. So you can also have Jay White. I always forget the guy's name. The one that took over his role for Bullet Club. Aiden, help me out here. Yes, thank you, Finley.
Yeah. I
mean, you could have the Forbidden Door match, a rematch, So, I mean, the possibilities are endless with having Jay White in AEW.
That's one thing I think with this year. I think, you have to have for Forbidden Door. I think you have to have like more involvement with Bullet Club, because I feel like there should have been tension between the Elite and Bullet Club, or even with the Guerrillas of Destiny. God was nowhere to be seen near Forbidden Door. I'm like, wouldn't you want one of your biggest tag teams to go up against the Bucks and have this giant rivalry? I know you had last year. You had that great trios match with Cole and White. Would you want to run that back, or run Cole and White down the road? So it's definitely a great signing for sure. And for those of you guys that haven't seen any Jay White stuff, if you're just a casual fan or just watch AEW, go watch a lot of his matches in New Japan. Like, he literally became almost that level that Kenny Omega and AJ Styles did back when they were in Bullet Club, and actually brought him up to a different level, almost bigger than the group itself.
Yeah, definitely check out his I can't remember which Wrestle Kingdom it's at, but Ibushi versus Jay White. I think that was at Wrestle Kingdom 15. Very good match.
Yeah, like I said, it was one probably this Dynamite felt like a Dynamite of old. Like, it had a lot of that charm from when they first started having also getting the momentum when we had all those big signings from Keith Lee to Bryan Danielson to Adam Cole, when we were in that huge portion of AEW when they were just building, So hopefully this kind of puts the ball back into the court, and hopefully maybe the numbers on Wednesday increase, especially with Connor's favorite tag team, FTR. They are not going anywhere.
And a big congrats to Connor's boy Brian Cage for signing a contract. So you're going to see Brian Cage a little bit now more too in AEW, and now that he's with Swerve Strickland, like it's something different that I didn't expect to see, but I'm kind of intrigued by it.
So do you want to explain, Connor, of kind of what the reports are saying about his new deal?
Hey, I'll be right back. My dogs are getting into a fight.
Okay. Never mind.
I'll be right back.
Well, then you're good. I'll
dog fights. What are you, Michael Vick?
Yeah. God dang. But apparently Brian Cage, I don't know if you guys heard this, but Connor and I were talking about this earlier. So apparently Brian Cage has some clauses in his contract where he has to be used a lot more. He actually got that in writing in his contract, unless the only time he misses a certain amount of TV time, unless he's injured. Then if not, he has to kind of be almost a regular on TV. So I'm not sure how that's going to play, but if something with Swerve Strickland, I think that's going to be kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm betting that'll be like it'll be between. Are they still called the Embassy, or are they going to be called Mogul Affiliates going forward?
They'll be called the Mogul Embassy.
The Mogul Embassy. No. That needs to be rewrote.
I love Swerve. I think he's a future AEW champ. He's one of my favorites to see on TV. And I can only hope that they can do well with the pairing of Swerve and the Embassy.
I mean, I honestly agree with you, Aiden. I mean, if Swerve Strickland is such an underutilized pro wrestler, I remember back when he was a kill shot in Lucha Underground, and some of the matches he put on there were just insane, and I loved every single one of them. I felt like that's where he really shined with his style of wrestling, was in Lucha Underground. I think WWE underutilized him a lot with Hit Row. But, once he came over to AEW, I think he's refining himself, which I'm happy to see.
Yeah. The thing is, I also want Keith Lee and Swerve to I want them to reheat that story, because it kind of felt like they just kind of put it to the side, and that kind of frustrated me about that.
I'm assuming that it's no coincidence that they're both wrestling on Dynamite this week. I bet that something's going to happen.
Yeah. So. I'm curious to see if he's going to go over Jericho. Because one thing that, a lot of people are seeing Jericho gets a lot of TV time, but Jericho's put a lot of people over. He hasn't faced off against Keith Lee. Do you think Keith Lee is going to win that match tomorrow?
I bet Swerve is probably costing him. I feel like Jericho is still treated as like huge, and he still is huge. I don't want to say that. I don't want to imply that he's not. But it feels like I don't want to say the right direction, because it's not what I would personally do, but I feel like the direction that is the most AEW is going to be Swerve doing something to cost Keith Lee the match.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out, because Swerve he almost reminds me of like Jake the Snake. You know, you can't trust him. Like he's got a whole bunch of plans in place, and he's just going to destroy Keith Lee.
Yeah, I
try
think
to.
it's his like promo delivery style where it's not like loud and boisterous. It's more quiet and like somber almost. Yeah. I like that.
Kind of going with what Davis was saying. He asked, he says that he thinks that they are done with Lee and Swerve right now. I think there's something that's probably going to play out, and I think that might drag a little bit into the summertime, but I think we'll eventually see it.
Because Rampage started, what was it, Darby? Yeah, like that's when Brian Cage. Well, what are they called? The Swerve's people.
Mogul affiliates is like Swerve, but I don't. Or the embassy.
Basically, the embassy and them combined it or something.
Yeah. Has he gotten rid of what's his name with all the tattoos and all that?
Trench and Parker Boudreaux. I hope so.
I
really thought they could be salvaged, man. I really thought so. That's my biggest L I've taken on.
Like Trench should definitely start on Dark or something, because like just immediately putting him into, especially Keith Lee.
What yeah. I think I mentioned this before. I mentioned this before on another one of our podcasts. Trench actually used to be a professional ball player. He used to play baseball.
Yeah.
He was a pro baseball. Yeah, he was a baseball player, and then he switched over to pro wrestling. So, I love the fact that everybody are calling him a Wish.com Tom McDonald. I thought that was hilarious.
What were we talking about before?
Oh no, I kind of covered the whole about Brian Cage, and I was going to get your insights about how he basically has a clause in his contract now, apparently, that he has to be regularly on TV, like unless he's hurt or injured.
Yeah, pretty. Well, basically, he doesn't want to repeat. I don't want to talk about people's business, but I will say this. Basically, he doesn't want to like. He gets in like he doesn't want to stay off TV for like months and months unless he's actually injured. You know, he's fine with doing like promos. You know, just doing something. Like Athena said the same thing. Like weeks before, like she'd rather do Dark or Elevation, just do a promo than nothing. So I'm pretty sure there was some like he took a little bit to sign back, so I'm pretty sure there was some negotiations, all that stuff.
So crazy, breaking news all week. So don't forget to check out tomorrow's Dynamite watch along. We'll probably go into more depth about our news our news topic we just discussed, and probably more depth on what's going to happen with the show tomorrow. So, gentlemen, let's get into our topic. So the first one that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about talents that basically a tag team, a male wrestler and a female wrestler for each one of our companies that you want to see kind of go to a different company that could benefit them. So the first one will be, who do you think in AEW should go to the ROH brand? So we'll start with what tag team? Aiden, do you want to start this one off?
Yeah, sure. It's one that for this one, I still don't really know what is considered Ring of Honor and what's considered AEW, because I feel like there's not really a distinction between the two rosters. You still have teams appearing on both, but I would say Top Flight but I think they might be associated with Ring of Honor going forward. Oh man, I'm trying to think of some. I wanted to say the Guns too, but after their intro on Wednesday, I don't think the production.
That was top guys. That was top guys intro right there.
That's one of the biggest I'm Him performances in AEW ever. I love that entrance, but I don't think Ring of Honor's presentation really allows them to kind of have that aura about them. So for a tag team, I would say Dark Order, just because they kind of represent that indie style of like because Super Smash Bros. Was big in PWG, stuff like that. I would like to see Stu Grayson mix it up in Ring of Honor as well. Even as a single star, I feel like he could do a lot in the pure title picture, probably in the TV title picture as well. Mm-hmm. Evil Uno is also phenomenal. That needs to be mentioned. The Evil Uno "Get Out of My Face, Hangman" was one of my favorite moments in a promo this year. So yeah, I would say Dark Order.
Yeah, that was one that I thought about because I think they need kind of almost a rebranding a little bit in a way. I feel like they they've kind of, unfortunately, with Brody's passing, of course they're making babyface, but they had all this momentum to do something with them, and then that's kind of something that AEW hasn't grasped. Like, what is Dark Order? And I feel like you could repackage them almost like what NXT does in a way. Like, you can almost repackage them and eventually bring it back up to AEW as a permanent staple. And plus, like I said, watching Stu Grayson going up against like Tony Deppen, there's a lot of different wrestlers that he could benefit going on Ring of Honor that, you don't have time to watch like a 20, 30-minute match on Dynamite with them. So, that's a pretty good pick. Adam, what about you? Like, what are you thinking?
So I know they get a couple matches here and there, but I think also a little bit to get to mix up styles. I keep going to the Butcher and the Blade. I think it'd be cool to get them over into the tag team division in Ring of Honor. Not only does that keep them within the umbrella company of AEW Ring of Honor, but it gives them more time to shine in that division. And I think their style actually would mix well with tag teams over in Ring of Honor. It kind of reminds me of the take of when Chris Jericho was the Ring of Honor champion, how, he's like, I'm going to destroy the legacy of Ring of Honor. I'm going to make it, not honorable, and I kind of see like the Butcher and the Blade doing the same thing in a tag division. We're like, we don't care about the Ring of Honor code of honor. We don't care. We're just here to mess everybody up and try to win those Ring of Honor tag. I mean, matches between them and the Lucha Bros would be great. So I honestly think it would kind of bring back memories of the Briscoe brothers. All their tag matches were in Ring of Honor, where they would just add hardcoreness to tag team matches. I feel like the Butcher and the Blade can bring that kind of back to Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I feel like you need almost that aggression team. Like, you have a couple people that are on, just single stars like Joe, and I would even throw either Unit in there where they're a little more like where they need a little more aggression. I think that would really help, especially with Butcher and Blade. Because 9 times on our show, we talked about it where we felt like they deserve more than what AEW has given them. Nothing against Kip Sabian. He was great talent, but, you keep pairing him up with people like Kip. And then I think, you keep pairing up with different groups like that. I think you kind of need to kind of separate them, have them be their own entity and their own, like, strong team. Because they've both improved since, since they were signed to Dynamite, really.
Yeah, and if you actually, there's a comment there I wanted to touch on too from Ethan about the tag teams in Ring of Honor. One thing you could also look at with that the Team of the Kingdom, you remember there's also a female member in that, and that's Maria. Yep. You can also add that with the Bunny. You could have 3-person tag teams with those people. Like, that's another mix you can have within the Ring of Honor, is those two teams going at it with the 3-person tag match. I mean, that'd be something different as well.
Because to my knowledge, I don't think I've ever seen the Kingdom, go up against, Butcher and Blade even on the Indies. So that would be, that's a really fresh matchup. Connor, what would you like? What tag team would you permanently move over or have be a staple in ROH?
Well, they've been on ROH a little bit here lately, but like not really as a tag team, but kind of singles. But Tony Nese and Josh Woods, an ROH more focused. Maybe Brian Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson. They're a team on Dark. They haven't really been in any big matches. Maybe had them on ROH. A lot of teams in ROH have already been on AEW, like the Kingdom, Aussie Open. The Infantry. They've been really focused on Ring of Honor. That's Carly Bravo and Sean Dean. They've been a really, really good team, I think, so far. But mainly for me, Tony Nese and Josh Woods, or Brock Anderson and Brian Pillman Jr. I know Top Flight was kind of getting in the mix with ROH until Dante's injury, but it looks like Darius Martin's still going to be in the mix with the Kingdom, that feud there. So, probably those two teams.
Yeah, I would love to see Josh Woods and Tony Nese be a permanent fixture over there, because you have two, some of the best, technical wrestlers that are on, in AEW or ROH. So to see that would be, yeah, I could definitely see that being like tag champions or being like, that team that almost like the gatekeeper in a way.
Yeah.
For me, this one was a hard one. Like, so because there's a lot of teams I feel like deserve to have a shot, and I think using Ring of Honor could help them get back onto a main feature on AEW Dynamite. So for me, I'm actually going with similar to one of your picks, Connor. I'm actually going with the Varsity Blondes. I feel like you can have them go to Ring of Honor, and I would actually do almost a parallel story to the Hollywood Blondes, where I think you kind of have that, you build them up as one of the best teams, and then you have either Pillman or you have Griff turn on one another, depending on how you want to book it. And then you have just a great, one-on-one feud after like a world championship run. And then you have Pillman. I want to see more of Pillman. Like, I want to see more of his character where he's a loose cannon. And I think, Griff would be a great baby face, but he also needs a little bit of he needs some more character development. I feel like Pillman has the potential and has learned a lot from watching his father wrestle. So I think Pillman has more of the character, but Garrison has that wrestling capability to where you can have them both improve on, their characters or wrestling, and then you can have them both break off eventually and become this giant single star. Ethan brings up a good point. He thinks that Pillman and Brock are together now, which I think is great. You have two generational talents that were the staple.
That kind of makes the feud even more interesting because Garrison gets injured and he jumps to gun Pillman. To Brock Anderson and Arn Anderson, which I can't remember which episode it was. It was on episode Dark, but I recommend watching it. Arn Anderson had like a backstage promo to get to Brock Anderson and Brian Pillman Jr. It was really good. But that could justify the story even more, including Brock in it. Well, include Brock, but
they have the potential for it for sure. So, all right. Yeah. So, what about your female star? Like, what if you look at the AEW roster right now, what standout female star do you think should go down there and go up against like Athena or who was their last Ring of Honor female champion before Athena?
Mercedes Martinez.
Yes. Or Serena Deeb. Like you have three like your most, almost like your three of like your strong women, and then who do you think would like pair up, especially with Athena? Like who do you think would be that star you could bring down to either potentially defeat Athena or could have like be more of a standout star in Ring of Honor? Connor, who do you think? We'll go with you first.
She recently became All Elite, Sky Blue.
Dude, we're on the same page.
Here lately on ROH, she's been picking up a lot of wins. She can't remember if she beat Trish Adora. I think Trish Adora won. Now she's a pretty good wrestler for Ring of Honor. Trish Adora on ROH, she's really really good. Of course, Lady Frost has been on a Ring of Honor a little bit, but I don't see her taking the belt off of Athena. But I think Sky Blue having that underdog story that here in AEW she's been picking up L's and everything. Then her going to ROH and picking up these wins because I believe she's won at least 2 or 3 matches in a row in ROH. So her picking up the wins and then because Athena just beat Yuka Sakazaki at Supercard of Honor. And then she defended it against someone on an ROH last Thursday. I think that would be a really good underdog story for Sky Blue to win the ROH World Championship or Women's World Championship, or even Billie Starkz. I know she's only 18, but I got Sky Blue for that one.
Yeah, Sky Blue was my pick as well for that one. Like she's definitely improved a lot since she was a independent contractor for him, and I'm so happy that she finally got a full contract. I'm surprised it took him this long to announce it, but she's definitely probably one of the better and most improved wrestlers on that roster. If it wasn't Sky Blue, I would say, maybe make Serena Deeb a permanent fixture down there. Have her like almost like you can have her put on some great technical matches, especially with Lady Frost. Like I would love to see that main event, one of the Ring of Honor pay-per-views this year. I think Lady Frost and Serena Deeb would be great. So I think you covered most of mine. So I'm going to turn the time over to Aiden. Aiden, what female superstar do you think should come down?
I was also saying Sky Blue, but because that has been said by both of y'all now, I'll say Billy Starks instead because it's going to be the same boat. Young talent, young hungry talent going to there to improve and eventually being called back up. And you also made a really good point with sending a veteran down for some more like freshness to the upper card. And I also would have said Serena Deeb, but it's because you said Serena Deeb. I'll say Taya Valkyrie.
Oh, Ty Valkyrie, very good pick. Because it's hard because it's like I want to see her defeat Jade and be that TBS champion, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I think it has to be Chris Statlander beating Jade.
Yeah, but apparently, my fiance she sent me an article before we went on air. But apparently, she is this close to coming back, so it should be very soon. So maybe we'll see it at one of the Battle of the Belts, or maybe we'll see it in England. But yeah, Ty Valkyrie, that's a good. She's definitely been. I've had to go on to YouTube and watch more of her stuff for sure. Because I think she's definitely got more. Not trying to sound harsh in this one, but she's got a lot more. She's got a lot more in ring work, more character development than most of the AEW women right now. So I think she was a good pickup for sure.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to rub off on a lot of women, character wise.
Yeah. Adam, who are you thinking, my friend?
Well, I'm actually going to go with Aiden on this one too. I think Billy Starks, fresh new signee with AEW. She got thrown into it right away with Jade. It's just another number on Jade's belt, but I think her going to Ring of Honor, racking up some wins, mixing it up down there, and it'd be really good to get her going and then bring her back to TV on AEW. If we're talking veterans. I can think maybe Nyla Rose can head over to Ring of Honor, kind of, work around with those girls over in Ring of Honor and mix it up there with, Connor's favorite person, Marina Shafir. I mean, I know they just had a tag match together recently, but I mean, sending either one of those two, because technically Marina Shafir is a vet within AEW. She's been there a while. But sending those two over there would be good. But yeah, I think Billy Starks definitely can benefit from going to Ring of Honor. Especially, being the new fresh face within the organization. And like I said, the whole overall, entity of AEW / Ring of Honor. But also, like I said earlier, the bunny going over there, mixing it up. So, I mean, those would be my pick for the female wrestlers. Cause like you guys said, I think with Taya Valkyrie, I think she's fine staying over on AEW, maybe a couple of matches on Rampage. Again, don't think she's going to be the one to take it off of Jade. I think that's still the plan for Chris Statlander to do. But also I can see her returning, Layla Hirsch heading over to Ring of Honor, mixing it up a little bit too.
Yeah, Layla. I feel like Layla and Athena could have an Iron Woman match, and that could be almost a pay-per-view main event right there. You have your Ring of Honor women be your closing match, your big main event on a pay-per-view. I feel like that would be a good closing match for sure. All right, so the next one, so we're gonna do what male star. Now this one for me was a lot harder to kind of narrow down because I thought originally it was going to be Preston Vance. But then, he's been doing a lot of stuff with Roosh down at Ring of Honor. So I kind of excluded him, at least from my thinking with it. So one that I want to have it be a breakout star and go back to being a single star, Big Bill.
Yeah.
I would repackage him back as Kaz XL, Big Cass, or Morrissey. I think you call him Morrissey again. He was probably one of the best, baby faces in Impact Wrestling before he signed with AEW. The guy's got the height, he has the look, he's got the muscle, he actually can speak really fluently and well on the mic. So I feel like you can have him be, either a baby face or a heel world champion, whether it be the pure champion, or I would say have him beat Claudio. I think he would do really well in Ring of Honor. At least that's who I think would do well. I think you kind of need that bigger than life athlete down there. I think you need that height, that you need that mass. You need that 7 feet tall mass. You need that.
You can't
So
teach that.
you can't teach that. That's correct. Or, yeah, like, I feel like he was always kind of overshadowed by Enzo. He's the tall one, but I feel like after Morrissey left WWE, went to Impact, independent scene, and even when he was on AEW before, I don't know why they changed his name to Big Bill unless it's something that he wanted to do. But I feel like I feel like he could break away and just be an independent star. So that's who I got. Connor, who are you thinking?
Well, I was gonna say W. Morrissey, but now I'll go with someone else. I think Anthony Ogogo would be pretty good in ROH. I know he's had some loose eye trouble, but I see him in the gym a lot, working out on Instagram. He looks jacked, and hopefully for the AEW All In, he's able to be on the card because he originates from the UK. If not Anthony Ogogo, I will think Aaron Solo will be really good. I know he's with
Aaron Solo would be good.
He's with QT Marshall right now, but I watched some of his independent stuff, and he's really, really good. He doesn't really get the recognition on AEW, or hasn't yet, but looking at ROH, he will come more of establishing himself as a singles wrestler. I gotta say Anthony Ogogo for me.
I think it's hard because with Anthony Ogogo, like you said, with his eye, with all of his eye injuries, where I feel like, when he had the match with Cody, I feel like he was going to be the next big thing in AEW, or up there, almost that good mid card range. But unfortunately, it's just those that sight injury or that disease that he has that's keeping him off TV. Man, I'd love to see him come back, and I think ROH would be a good spot for him. All right, Aiden, what about you? Who are you thinking?
I was also going to say Anthony Ogogo.
Really?
I just strictly for the reason of get him prepared for All In, get him some kind of role on the card. But because you said Anthony Ogogo, I'm going to go with Bandito.
Okay.
It feels like Ring of Honor is taking a huge influence from foreign wrestling styles, from Lucha Libre and from Strong Style in Japan. Just having more luchadors cannot hurt at all. I love Bandito. Give him something to do. He will amaze you.
No, Adam, I know you're going to say Bandito, but who are you really?
Actually, I was going to say Bandito. My pick is actually going to surprise a lot of you guys.
Okay.
I'm going to go Sean Spears.
Sean Spears.
I'm going to go Sean Spears. Just basically when he comes back, I feel like because he only had that one match back from that leave, that I feel like he needs to get back into Ring of Honor as far as a veteran standpoint, to work with the young guys in that side. But also I can see him as a superstar singles in Ring of Honor. I can see him taking the title off of Claudio. I mean, I can see him as the Ring of Honor champion. I can see him as the Ring of Honor television champion. It just, with me, I feel like when he comes back, he could fit over in that Ring of Honor, kind of be like that guide because of his veteran status, but also just to get back in the ring a little bit and kind of, because again, he's been gone for a while. Him and Cassie are having a baby, so I mean, he's getting prepared for that. So once he comes back, I think Ring of Honor is a good step for him, and then eventually get him back over to AEW and heck, maybe even start a feud with MJF. Imagine seeing Sean Spears as your Ring of Honor champion confronting MJF, the AEW champion, and them having a bickering match. Basically, MJF saying, "Hey, I brought you that. You should thank me." But then Sean Spears saying, "No, I did it myself." Like, the story tells itself, So I would either go with that or even something another people are going to be shocked by, Scorpio Sky. I mean, I feel like when he comes back from injury, that's another one where the ring rust is going to happen, and the good way to start that before getting him back on AEW television is getting him in Ring of Honor and letting him get some matches over there, get some wins over there, come back, maybe get him to feud with Ethan Page, saying that Ethan Page turned his back on him and joined this other group and turned his back on me. Like the story's there as well. So I'm actually going with those two vets when they come back to just basically go to Ring of Honor, build back up, and then head back to AEW television.
I think that would be a good spot. I know Spears, especially with having a baby, he's probably excited. ROH films, 2 or 3 episodes in one go. So that way he could be home more with his kid. He could do other stuff outside of wrestling if he wanted to as well. And Scorpio, he was the heart and soul at one time of Ring of Honor, especially with, SoCal Uncensored.
Yeah.
So it feels natural, almost like you need a couple of homegrown talent to come help bring back up Ring of Honor to where it was.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to the comment section before we move on to the next portion of our topic. Ethan says apparently she signed to AEW but isn't going to be on AEW TV, so she'll be on ROH more is what he guesses. I think
Billy Starks.
Yeah, Billy Starks. Yeah,
but she's finishing up school, I think, right? She's trying to finish up her high school, and then she'll get to everything else.
Yeah, she's 18, I believe.
Yeah,
she's finishing up her. I read that she wants to finish up her senior year and at least get a high school diploma first before pretty much concentrating on that the wrestling.
Yeah, which is really smart because you never know what could happen. I know you're young and all, but you never know if one injury is going to take away your career from you.
And like as you mentioned, Ring of Honor films like a lot of shows together, so filming like 2 or 3 matches. With Ring of Honor, that works the best, especially being in high school.
Yeah. Ethan says everyone was going to say someone side by side. That is kind of interesting that we have a very similar mindset when it comes to some of the stars on AEW programming. So all right. So the next one we're gonna go to what stars do you think should visit Japan and maybe spend time in the dojo? So I know Aiden's a huge New Japan mark. So Aiden, would you like to start us off on what female star do you think would be great over in the dojo and get some experience with Japan?
Yeah, here's another one where I would also there's a few camps I would want to go to. I want them to improve and I want to see like banger matches. So for like my improvement side, still Sky Blue. Sky Blue is one of my favorites in AEW's women's division, and it's totally because I'm biased, being from Chicago, and she's also from Chicago. So, but yeah, Sky Blue is one. Just any young talent. Anna Jay would be fun. Ty Conti, I know, said that she loves like that strong style, so I think she would be perfect for an excursion. And then for someone who I would want to go over to Japan to like see some banger matches. I think Serena Deeb would be really fun to see.
Ooh, yeah.
I want to see. It'll probably happen at some point, hopefully in Ring of Honor. But like Serena Deeb versus like Miyu Yamashita or something, that'd be so fun.
Oh, that'd be a good match. I would even say eventually, I think she'd be great against Mercedes Moné. It's just fun to say her name, but I feel like Mercedes. I think now that she's gotten some matches under her belt, probably spent the time in the ring more. I feel like her and Serena Deeb could probably put on a 5-star match, guaranteed. I feel like you have a good story between the two of them. Yeah, that's some good picks, Aiden. I dig it. Adam, what about you? Like, who would you like to?
Since he said it, I would also go Sky Blue as well. I think she would have some good matches over there. Others, I think, actually, that I feel like can have some really good matches over there. I mentioned her before is Layla Hirsch. I think she could have some solid matches over there in New Japan. And then there's one more I'm trying to think of. Not Ruby. Tony Storm. I'd love to see Tony Storm go over to New Japan and get some match. I mean that there's that possibility with Forbidden Door, that the Outcasts can wrestle, have one more person on their side and wrestle the female talents of New Japan, so I mean, you could imagine that. Do you have Mercedes Moné representing the New Japan team, or do you have her come over and team with the Outcasts during Forbidden Door? So the possibilities are endless, but those are probably some of the females I can think of that I could see having some good matches and getting some experience over there in New Japan.
So Mike actually kind of agrees with you on that. He bets that Mercedes will be at Forbidden Door too. I think that'll be like one of your big surprises that'll happen there of some sort, whether she's wrestling on the card or a shock run-in or something's going to happen with Mercedes at that event. You can't just not have your biggest female star, at least when it comes to viewership wise. You can't have them not be on that pay-per-view. I think you have to have her versus Hayter or something like that. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Adam, very good picks for sure, man. Connor, what about you, man? Who would you like to see go to Japan or benefit from the dojo?
For improvement, Marina Shafir. Now, I do see potential in a great technical style of her, like Serena D, but it's going to take some time. I believe her going to New Japan. Right, they have a women's division now, don't they? Like they've just now started a women's division.
Yeah.
Maybe her go over there. Maybe improvement, maybe Sky Blue. Yeah, there we go again. Sky Blue. For women, Mercedes. I mean, Marina Shafir for improvement. But for good matches, someone out of the norm. Maybe Darius Martin or AR Fox.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see those. I feel like Maria Shafir, even John Moxley has talked a lot about her, saying that he actually is working with her, so she's getting a lot better. That he wants to see the blood sport Maria Shafir in AEW. He wants to see more of that. I can't remember who she faced, but apparently, it was one of the best blood sport matches that they've seen. Have you guys heard of that match or heard of her being a blood sport?
I have not.
I knew she was part of Bloodsport. I just never seen the match.
Because I know John Moxley. I was listening to his podcast he did with Renee Young, and he kind of went into detail he likes working with her. So I think getting her some other experience outside of AEW and ROH, that might be a big step for her. For me, I was kind of looking at the women's roster, and I know New Japan's got that famous dojo. A lot of great wrestlers, look at Juice Robinson. He left NXT. He went over to New Japan, went through the dojo, and became one of the best tag teams with Finjuice with Finley. So for me, I think when I made my list, 2 out of 3 part of our categories were who I think could actually benefit for going into the dojo. So for me, it's Jade. I think Jade is a great, she's great on the mic. She's that bitch. She's definitely one of the best talkers in the company. But we've all said it. She needs a little more diverse action in the ring. She needs to kind of clean up. She's still a little green. So I feel like if you send her over to New Japan, let her work with some of the great women and men over there, especially, like Rocky, I feel like he could actually get her to be on the right track. And I think with a little bit more of, some finesse, a little more tweaking with her wrestling ability, I think she could be a women's champion one day. But I think she needs to really go over somewhere else, whether it's independent scene or the dojo. Especially, I think the dojo could really, really help her character and help her as a wrestler. And I'm kind of going to lead into my next, to my tag team, but Top Flight. I feel like you put Top Flight in the dojo, and then you also have them, battle it out in, the tag league over there. You necessarily don't have to have them win, but if you can get them as close as the semifinals and say lose to Gorillas of Destiny or somebody in Bullet Club or one of the bigger names where they may lose, but they still get put over and have like a Tanahashi or a Tamatonga, like somebody like that, bring them up. You get them over there, you have them work on their character development, have them work on their psychology and their heavy hitting. And I feel like that would be a great start for them to get better and eventually, have them win the tag titles. So before I pass it over to you guys again, Mike says Maria and Jade for sure would be great to go to the dojo and improve in Japan. David also says that's if they both can stay healthy to use them for Top Flight. Yeah. But the thing is with Dante, it wasn't his fault. That's the thing. With Dante getting hurt, it wasn't his fault in that spot. That was, fortunately his, one of the tag teams. Was it Phoenix or was it Penta that messed up on that spot and injured Dante?
I think it was Penta.
Yeah. So you can't really blame Dante on that one.
I don't think it was anyone messed up. It's just like, accidents happen.
Yeah.
Like
I think when he comes back, they should strictly. You can only like the high flying is what is catching up with them. Now that move was a Canadian destroyer that I think it was Penta that did a Canadian destroyer off the ladder onto the was it like 4 tables.
Yeah. It was like 3 or 4 tables.
Yeah, but hopefully he's not going to be out for a long time. But normally, if you don't watch his basketball, Gordon Hayward when he did that, he missed the entire season. His look nasty.
Told him he shouldn't have left the Jazz. If he didn't leave the Jazz, he wouldn't have got hurt.
But yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely. Yeah, so hopefully he has a speedy recovery. But I think they kind of need to slow it down a little bit and work on their psychology. Adam, what team would you like, or what tag team would you like to see over in New Japan?
And I would like to see them mix it up over there. Would be Roosh and Preston Vance.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think they could have some banger matches over there. Just because of their style. I mean, Roosh already has some of that lucha libre style into him, and just to mix it up with New Japan style, the dojo style and everything like that. And then Preston Vance kind of like he needs to also find kind of a balance in some of his brute style. So it might mix well in New Japan, but he can also find some new stuff over there in the dojo. So I mean, think about that. That's the only team that comes to mind that I think would have banger matches over in New Japan is those two, because they already have like great matches together in AEW. I just want to see them mix it up with New Japan, and just see them kind of mix their style with that style over there.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know, especially with Preston, like he is just he's just branching out from his 10 character. So I feel like having him learn some strong style, like he would be a deadly force in AEW or ROH. Yeah, I didn't think about that one, Adam. That one impressed me, man.
Well, I just thought about it because I just rewatched their match versus God, who was it that they wrestled on Rampage that one night? I don't know if it was a week or 2 ago. My mind's drawing a blank right now, man.
You're good.
But I just rewatched one of their tag matches from Rampage, and I was just like, man, these guys would do so much damage in other promotions if they were a team everywhere. And that's when I thought was, man, they would do so well in New Japan. Hell, they would do awesome in AAA. I mean, I think those two over in AAA would have amazing matches.
I could say definitely in AAA. Aiden, what about you? Who would you like to see?
For tag team going to Japan, I would say this is, you can consider this cheating if you want, but I would say Best Friends, even though they have already wrestled over there a few times. Trent is, well, they're all technically members of Chaos now because of Rocky Romero. But I just think I like seeing Trent in Ring of Honor. I like seeing Trent with Rocky and Roppongi Vice. I want to see Trent and Chucky T tear it up. I think they definitely have the potential. They have the size, they have the strength, they can do hard hitting offense when they want. They are technically sound. I think they would do phenomenal over there.
Yeah, that's I would love to. It's almost like a reunion in a way for them going back to Japan. I didn't even think I totally forgot they were in Japan until you brought it up. And before I have Connor go last, Jason wants to see Santana and Ortiz go to Japan. Have they wrestled in Japan, Aiden, or are they at some one place they haven't wrestled yet?
I have no idea. I don't know if I just don't know. I assume not, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Yeah, that'd be a really cool one. So thanks, Jason, for watching, and thank you for giving us your take on that. Connor, what about you, my friend? Close us out.
For this, I'm going to go with 2.0. They've been to WWE, they've been to AEW. I don't think they've been to Japan ever. I could be wrong, but 2.0 would be pretty good. I was watching the AEW Road 2, and Matt Lee, I don't know what his name is now. I call him by Jeff Parker and Matt Lee, their original names. But he can cut some pretty good promos. Like, he reminds me of Terry Funk when he's all bloodied up in the hair. And I like to say 2.0 go over there. I don't really know a lot of the teams in New Japan currently. Is GOD still a thing?
Yeah, they're still tagging, if I remember correctly. Aiden, do you know if they're still tagging or
GOD?
Yeah.
I believe. Well, I think right now Tama Tonga is the never openweight champion, so I don't think they've been tagging as much. He's been defending that belt, but they're still like in the same group. They would still. There's no reason for them that they wouldn't team.
Yeah, because are they part of Banzai? Or do they switch?
They're. I don't know what they're. I can't remember. I haven't watched tons of New Japan recently because all of my favorites have really left. But
sadly.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're in AEW now.
It's kind of like, well, if you think about it, it kind of goes in cycles too. Because think about it, WWE did it with Styles and the Good Brothers and Nakamura. AEW's done it with the Bucks, Kenny, White. So yeah, it's true. It's kind of like not a dry spell, but
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
I would say Hook going to Japan, him and Hausen, but I don't know how that would work.
They would do so well in DDT, actually.
I wonder
DDT.
I wonder how Danhausen would get over with the Japan crowd. Like how that interaction would be.
Oh, they would love him in DDT.
Oh, he'd be over.
Yeah, they would eat him up. They would love him. They'd be like, we like this guy. I don't know why, but we like him.
Yeah. But 2.0, that'd be a fun. Oh, dude, just the promos they could cut. It'd be like, I don't know how to speak this Japanese, but it's still sports entertainment to me.
Like from tonight's AEW Road 2, like Matt Lee's promos, and they don't show these on TV, which they should, but they're really, really good. Matt Lee can cut a promo. I believe it was like Blood and Guts one time. He was bloodied up and he was talking about he missed his kid's first he missed his kid walking for the first time. And he cut a really, really good promo that was it was in real life. It was after Blood and Guts. 2.0 would be really good.
All right. So the next one's going to be a little more controversial, and I'm excited to see how our opinions are on this one. So with this next one, who would you like to see go to a different company and be better? So it could be WWE or Impact Wrestling. So
this is going to be easy for me, but
who's going first? Why don't you go, Connor? Why don't you
Connor,
go? It's so easy.
To go to Impact, I've already said their name before, but Marina Shafir going on the Impact. Actually, Leva Bates. She's really, really good in NXT as Blue Pants. But now I don't know what happened. I know she's got another job in AEW she has some other jobs in AEW.
Yeah, she's doing more like the heels. She's doing like the charity work and I think she's actually in charge of the heels project.
Yeah. I'm on to WWE. That's a tricky one. I knew the Impact side with Marina Shafir. But to WWE, that I know Bandito said today that he wants to go to WWE, which I know he went to the Performance Center, I believe that's what he said, and did some stuff. It depends on how they're going to book Dragon Lee. Like, has he been on NXT so far? Dragon Lee, I know he's signed with NXT. Like, it really depends on how they book. Like, I don't feel like besides Rey Mysterio, they've booked a good luchador besides Rey Mysterio. Maybe Ultimate Dragon in 2004, but I can't. Maybe Sin Cara, Kalisto, but I can't think of any luchador that they've really booked really that well.
Mysterio's been the only one, really.
Yeah, if you want to guess the Lucha Dragons, I guess, or the what was it, the Lucha House Party?
Lucha House Party, yeah. It's kind of hard, isn't it?
The WWE, yeah. I could see Ethan Page in WWE, like just like his character and stuff. But it'd be like how LA Knight was with the glasses and the X-Men models. He'd be wearing the stuff. Also from going to Impact, Scorpio Sky would be pretty good. Him and Frankie Kazarian over there.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
But if I had to say really one person that I could see going from AEW to WWE, probably Andrade. Like realistically, that's who I see. Even with Vince coming back, he'll probably still go back.
Yeah, it's he kind of gets a bad break, sadly.
That's just a tough situation, like from AEW to WWE. Like that's really tough.
I kind of did one each one of mine. I did one for NXT, one for Impact, and then one for WWE main roster. So I think looking at it for me, I'll just give you my female that I think could do better with being in the Performance Center, and actually goes off of Connor's favorite wrestler, Maria Shavir. I think wasn't she in the NXT at one point?
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of need to send her back. I think she needs a second attempt at it. She's got promise, especially from what Moxley was saying, but I think she needs a little more hands-on and more of a control technique and a more like where you all around package where you could go day in, day out, go there, train, and then perform. I feel like NXT would success her well.
There's one person also, but not in the AEW right now. Big Swole will be pretty good in NXT. I don't know how she's not there already. With Cedric Alexander working for WWE.
I wonder if it's just because her attitude and things that she said.
Well, I know she has Crohn's disease, I believe. So.
Oh, never mind. She has Crohn's?
I believe so, yeah. She said that in the past. Big Swole does.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, but that's a really tough one, Lane.
I know. You're gonna hate me for my other pick, so I'm gonna wait for that one for a second. Aiden, what about you? What female star do you think would be better outside of AEW?
I was thinking, it's kind of controversial, but I feel like Jade Cargill kind of fits the WWE mold of what should be a superstar. She can talk, she has the look, everything like that, and she is still improving on her wrestling ability. She is like, I said it once and I'll say it again. I think she has had probably the best match. Every time there's been a battle of the belts, she's had the best match. I haven't watched the most recent one, so I haven't been able to judge that. But I think that it hurts to say that I want to send Jade away. And I'm not saying I want to, but if I had to choose someone, I would. I just don't know who else on the roster fits well in WWE. The only other person I can think of is Paige Van Zandt.
True.
I'd say with me, if I mind butting in with mine, Layla Gray.
That's also fair. That's very fair. Yeah.
Layla Gray and Velvet Sky, or not Velvet. Oh my God, Velvet Sky.
Velvet Sky, my favorite.
Velvet Sky. Red Velvet or Layla Gray would definitely fit WWE's mold, especially in NXT right now. Like they definitely fit in with that roster, just because they've got looks. Some of their in-ring skill is pretty decent, but I mean, at the Performance Center, they can probably brush up on it a little bit. But I mean, and I'm with Aiden. Jade basically is the poster child of women's division in WWE. That is exactly who they would love to have. It's almost like you're looking at, and it's kind of I guess I don't know if it's a big poop on her legacy, but it's almost like the next China is where I see Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill would be the next China in WWE, because she's got that muscle look. She's a good looking woman. Her skills would definitely fit in with WWE. So I would say any one of those three definitely would benefit in WWE. Yeah, and even Impact. I think Layla Gray and Red Velvet would benefit in Impact for sure.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. You know, it's just that's something with Jade. She's I think if you gave her like an ABC kind of match type, but you see a lot of the women's division have, where it's almost like a Rhea Ripley kind of match. With her match with Asuka, it was a great match. But think about it, everything was kind of planned out. She can have more time just to be a character in the ring. She can really flesh it out instead of having to worry about some of the women that have more of a wrestling, character, like where they're more hard hitting, where they don't focus so much on being a specific person, where they let their, actions in the ring, make sense. Jason, I do see your comment. I am not going to bring it up. I do apologize, but it's I'll bring it up here once we're done with this segment, and I'll.
Who are you going to
joke
say?
and laugh about it.
Like you said, it was going to offend someone. Going to.
Oh, you. So fine. We'll get into it then. And this is before the reports came out today, at least before I saw. But I thought Brian Cage, at least I think he could be used more in NXT.
I think he would have went if VKM wouldn't have came back.
Yeah. I think looking at it, if you have someone like Braun Breaker, I feel like that's a dream match right there. Have him, he could be like, you kind of need another big man. I feel like in NXT right now, I thought he would fit that mold. He's like almost like an Adam Cole, where he's already seasoned well, but you get him on there to kind of help build up some other stars, have that next generation as well, and then use Brian Cage to go to the main roster after he builds a few people up. And then you have him go up against people like, look at Walter. I think Walter and Cage would be a barn burner like that. And so that was kind of my thinking with it. But that was before we saw that. As of reports are saying that he's re-signed with AEW, which I'm glad because I like Brian Cage. But I was kind of thinking like, man, like I feel like he could be used better in a company. Unfortunately, with AEW, they don't book big man that much. So I feel like WWE could have done a little bit better job with booking him.
That's a perfect story. All the big men gather together saying we're sick of it, and they take over AEW. Hey, the cruiserweights versus the big men, 5-on-5.
Right. There you go. That'd be fun. Or a blood and guts match. That would be insane.
That would be really fun to see.
Like Archer, Darby, Cage, Lee. That would be fun. So yeah, that was my pick. Like I said, I love Brian Cage, and I was thinking that he was WWE bound. I really did.
Yeah.
What about you, Aiden? Do you think any male star should be leaving the company going to WWE, or who do you think would be benefit for going?
I pretty much just had everyone who was implied that they want out of their contract. People like Miro, Andrade. Just let them be with their significant other in whatever company they want. If Andrade wants to be wrestling alongside Charlotte, I think you should let him. Another person I had was Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison. I feel like Griff Garrison kind of fits the mold of like at least physically of a WWE superstar, and Brian Pillman Jr. has the history of his name there. And I feel like he has the look of a star, and WWE values that a lot, especially with his hair and his like uniforms and everything. And then a kind of a curveball, and it pains me to say it, but Ricky Starks. I feel like he you could have a feud with Cody. He has a very real relationship with Cody. It's organic. I just feel like he'll thrive anywhere that can really put a big production behind him.
Yeah, he could be the next Rock. He really could. He literally seemed like because he could literally have that a Hollywood Hogan versus Rock moment with Reigns or Cody. It sucks to say that because I love Ricky Starks. I feel like he could be the one to defeat Max eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
This could be a Broken Elite thing, but I think at All Out, Ricky Starks beating Hobbs for TNT title. I think last year they had a match, but this time for a title, and Ricky Starks beating Hobbs at All Out would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It makes a lot of sense from a story point.
Yeah. It would come full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be poetry in motion.
And then his theme, the Revolution has been televised.
Yes, it would fit. It fits perfectly. Adam, what about you? Do you have any that you would like to see go?
Sorry, one second. Sorry, Adam. I don't mean to be evil, but my dining hall closes in about 18 minutes, and I have not eaten dinner yet. So I'm gonna get going and eat some dinner. I apologize, y'all.
Oh, no worries, man. Hey, thanks for jumping on, man. We appreciate you coming on.
I will see you guys probably on Friday for Rampage. I have an exam tomorrow at exactly 7. All my biology ones are scheduled for then. But I will see you guys on Friday then.
All right, and take care, man. Thanks for
good luck on your exam, bro.
Thank you.
I'll see you later.
All right. There we go.
So me, I actually kind of agree with Aiden of all the ones that want out of the contracts that want to go be with their spouse. But one might shock a lot of people is Sammy Guevara.
Okay.
I feel like Sammy Guevara, with his personality, his whole good looking face and look at my hot wife and all this crap, I think he would fit the mold over in WWE. I mean, you could kind of see him and Tay Mello going over there to maybe feud with The Miz and Maurice. You could see that. I mean, every time I see, because basically what it was Cody and Brandy were basically supposed to be what I think Sammy and Tay are right now. In all honesty. But man, to see Sammy and Tay to go over to WWE, or even Impact, but I also feel like Sammy gets so much heat, which is good. That's what that's his goal, is to get the heat. And he plays it so well. But also he's just a really talented guy that he's had a lot of great matches in AEW, that if he wanted to take the chance, and hopefully not get buried by the roster in WWE, but I can see him doing, all the stuff he does in the ring anyways. It would be, just imagine him versus, I hate to say it, see him versus Logan Paul. That, all this, because people give Logan Paul so much crap, but watching some of his stuff and realizing that the guy actually loves the sport of professional wrestling and respects it, people shit on it. It's like, you can't be an outsider come into pro wrestling and think you can do it. It's been going on since the 90s. Look at Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone jumping into WCW and having those matches with Diamond Page and Hulk Hogan. It's been going on with famous people jumping into pro wrestling. The biggest thing is David Arquette killed WCW. David Arquette didn't know what he would. He didn't know. And now look at him, where he actually enjoys the sport and he wants to respect it more. And he actually got in shape and decided to do pro wrestling. Yes. Watching that documentary about You Can't Kill David Arquette, I was like, dude, this is awesome. He actually loves the sport. But yeah, no, Sammy Guevara and maybe. Man, I hate to say Ricky Starks, but you guys are right. He kind of fits that. Aiden's right. He kind of fits that mold. He kind of fits the WWE mold of smooth talker on the mic, good looking guy. And he's got some good ring skills. And he controls the ring. So I think with that, those are the only two I can think of. Tag team wise, maybe Private Party. They can almost be a good feud with frickin' the Street Profits. Those two teams kind of have almost the same vibe to each other, that I guarantee you they can both put on really good tag matches. So
very similar gimmicks for sure.
I mean, very same gimmicks, but the matches between them would be very solid.
Yeah, and also looking at too, they're looking at splitting them up too. Did you hear about the reports about that? That one of them is looking to have a singles run here after the draft.
I think it was. I think they were talking about possibly Montez Ford, maybe getting a singles push.
It's that's one of the hard things with WWE. It's like I wish they sometimes wouldn't break him up, or at least make sure it's like part of the story. Don't just like say, "Oh, we're just drafting them apart."
Kind of like New Day.
Yeah,
look, it's like Big E on SmackDown, and then.
But they still were involved with Big E though, until he got hurt. I think for a tag team for me, I can't see any tag teams fitting the WWE mold from AEW. So I'm going to choose Impact on this one. And the Butcher and Blade, I feel like they could be great Impact World Champions. They have the look, the style. They could go up against like Heath and Rhino. There's a lot of, I guess, fresh matches like Motor City Machine Guns they could go up against. I feel like they would do a lot better in Impact and be a bigger star. Even though it's a smaller stage, but I feel like they would get more TV time than going to WWE or staying here in AEW. I love Butcher and Blade. They're one of my favorite, tag teams, but they really haven't had a chance to actually shine on their own. They've had some great moments, but it feels like they always get buried by whatever faction they get thrown into. So for me, I feel like they kind of need to go. I feel like Impact would make them bigger and better, to where potentially they could go back to AEW and be world champions. Don't get me wrong, I think they could do it now, but I think they need a little more help or a little more credibility.
I feel like one of their best matches was the I can't remember, it was the Bunkhouse. It was Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall versus Butcher and Blade. And it was the Bunkhouse match, and like there was another one with the Young Bucks and Butcher and Blade in the actual kitchen of Daly's place.
Is that a false count anywhere match, or is that a street fight?
It was one of the two. Because I know they went like all through Daly's place into the Jacksonville Jaguars stadium a little bit. But I agree that Kip Sabian should be in singles and Butcher and Blade should be in tag. You can keep Penelope. I guess she's injured still, but keep Penelope with Kip as his manager.
Oh, did you not hear why she was injured?
I did.
That was very sad.
I know she was injured, like had an injury, but I didn't know that then, but I know that now.
Yeah.
I knew she was injured. I don't know how she was injured, so you might have to fill me in on that.
So they posted a video right before April 1st, and Kip and Penelope were supposed to be parents, but now I remember. Yeah,
okay.
So that's kind of why everything happened. And I think she's doing better because I think she's got like a cyst that's causing her issues with that. What fortunately happened with her pregnancy, but yeah, I feel like hopefully Penelope can come back fully, and her and Kip just are such a great like duo. Whether they're managing each other or if they're wrestling. So. Like I said, this like the hard part. This was the hardest one to come up with, at least like when it comes to like who would do better outside of AEW, because there's so much talent and so many possibilities, dream matches that we can have. But unfortunately, it's the downside with AEW is that giant roster, and unfortunately, Ring of Honor hasn't fully helped it yet. And if a third show comes in,
I think that's going to help.
Collision.
Hopefully it'll be a good spot, and hopefully people will watch it. But
then you got House Rules.
Rules.
This year we're gonna have 6 pay-per-views. Count the indoor, and there's gonna be an all out back to back. So all in one weekend, and the next weekend all out. So
my poor bank account.
Shut up and take my money.
But it's gonna be worth it though.
I just hope All In is available to watch, because it looks like it's not going to be a pay-per-view.
What?
Yeah, it's not going to be a pay-per-view.
How
looks
is it? How is it going to be in
I
a
know.
big stadium in the well, the time difference too. It's going to be
Yeah.
very hard to do that with the time difference.
I'd still watch,
I mean, I'll still watch.
even if it's the next. Well, I'll probably watch live, but a lot of people said that WB and Discovery, whatever they're called now, has their streaming service, a new streaming service launching pretty soon, and it could be on there. On this new streaming service with the launch of AEW on their streaming deal.
Because are they a 12-hour time difference than us? Or are they?
I think it's 12.
So you'd have to do it like in the afternoon for us to watch it at the nighttime, or
Yeah, you would have to do it at like 1 o'clock.
yeah, pretty much.
You would have to do like a 1 o'clock show just for us to watch it at night.
Or pre-record it.
Yeah,
Right now,
That
it's,
might be the other option because I know they did it with the Jericho Cruise.
right now in
Yeah.
London. Right now, it's 2:22 a.m.
Oh, so yeah, it would have to do it like Adam said.
They
like,
can't do a 90,000. They can't do a 90,000.
So wait, so what time is it in UK?
2:22 a.m. London.
2:22. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2. That's 5 hours. So it's a 5-hour difference. We over exaggerated the 12. But a
Yeah.
5-hour difference,
Oh.
yeah, you would have to do a 3 o'clock in the afternoon show just for it to be an 8 o'clock pay-per-view.
Like, there's no way
Us-
it's not like 90,000 seat arena, not for people to watch. There's no way. I'll be the stupidest. Like that. Like also they make a profit off this too because it seems like their biggest event ever that they've ever done. First stadium show too.
Yeah, like you can't just like you have to have it watched or streamed somewhere. It can't just be like a glorified house show.
And that especially all in.
Yeah, especially with now that they have the rights to All In.
Yeah.
There's no
All
way
right.
that they could
Yeah.
do
Adam, let's get back to the tag teams. Do you have a tag team in mind that you would like to see? Or did you already give your tag team?
Yeah, I said Private Party.
Oh, Private Party. Duh. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
getting tired.
But it was funny because I wanted to touch base on one of the comments that's there, Davis.
Oh, Davis.
It's not that they're afraid to go WWE. It's also the fact that WWE also has a bloated roster, but also what I've read is they have a hire freeze. So they're not hiring anybody right now. And I think it's part of because of that new deal they got with Endeavor, that they put a freeze on all new hires. But it is kind of a mix of not being afraid of going there. It's just it's worry more than afraid because they don't want to get buried on the roster that's already bloated over there too. But also because of a certain someone that's still in control over there. But from what I've read, when that person's not around, I'll just say his name, Vince. When Vince is not around, I guess reports are morale is good because of Paul, aka Triple H. Morale is better with him around than it is with Vince. And I just read today that Vince has a clause in his reads that he also has to follow the code of conduct over there. With his new boss and new company, because if he gets out of line once, he can be gone. So,
But he's not used to that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but also that, but I think that's what a lot of people were upset about too with AEW, and we talk about it a lot is because of a bloated roster, not knowing that a WWE also has a bloated roster.
People forget that, don't they?
People forget that WWE also has a bloated roster. That is why they have 4 or 5 shows a week. When they have a Raw, an NXT. Heck,
House
they even
shows.
have another show called Level Up. And now they have SmackDown and all this stuff. I mean, Saturday night, or main events, whatever the name of that show is.
Yeah,
They've got way more shows because they have a bloated roster like that, that they can't utilize everybody. yet people want to complain, oh, AEW is a bloated roster. But at least they're trying to utilize everybody. They're not just putting everybody on the back burner. And they're like, no, you're not on tonight. Maybe they're like, we got you here. So we're going to get you there. But I just wanted to touch on that comment real quick.
No, yeah. I feel like with having Vince come back in charge, I feel like some talent would be afraid to go over because, hey, you are part of the rival company. If you look at not many stars from ACW or WCW, besides maybe a handful, they got buried when they went over. DDP got buried. Look what happened with Sting and Triple H. Like, Sting should have won his debut match at WrestleMania, but no, you wanted to use it as an ego booster to say WWE is better and have DX beat the NWO like they did. That's another thing too. It's like if I was an AEW wrestler, I would be scared to go to WWE if Triple H is your chairman. Yes, he's not going to go through the weeds, so to speak, apparently what he's saying. Like, he's not going to do every little storyline. But what's it from him saying, well, shit, pal, you are hot shit on this AEW product, but now you're going to job out to osmosis.
I've seen interviews like basically saying that he's not looking for professional wrestlers. He's looking for superstars.
I want superstars.
Like, basically, like, you've wrestled a few shows in the indies. Great, but that's not what I'm looking for. Basically, that kind of attitude way.
They want athletes too. That's their new gimmick, is they want athletes. That's why they're signing all these NIL deals with all these young athletes.
They're looking for next Kurt Angle, and they're not going to get another Kurt Angle.
They're not going to get another Kurt Angle. Yeah, they're trying to replicate something. They're trying to replicate something they've done decades ago, but it's not working. And that's why I feel a lot of people are being turned away from WWE, because they keep repeating what they did in the past that people were tired of. They're like, we want to see something new, but then you're rehashing stuff that you saw like decades ago.
I think Kurt Angle was going to be a one of a kind.
Yeah.
But you said something else a few minutes ago, Adam. Oh,
what's up?
Like these famous, like Logan Paul, like these people that aren't wrestlers, but they're getting into wrestling. But I think now, like Logan Paul, Bad Bunny, he did a Canadian Destroyer, and he wanted to do one of the best Canadian Destroyers I've ever seen a celebrity do. I think nowadays we're seeing a lot more celebrities actually take it seriously, like Logan Paul. I think he's really the first one to actually transition himself into an actual wrestler, really.
I give him a lot of credit. I don't like him as a person, but he really busted his butt to become a WWE superstar. And actually,
he reminds me of Hook a little bit. Like, his first few matches he looks like he's been wrestling for years.
Well, he hasn't wrestled in major promotions, but I got to go back to David Arquette. Like, if you guys haven't seen that documentary, if anybody who's watching this hasn't seen the You Can't Kill David Arquette documentary, you need to watch it. It's basically his journey back into fixing his image of what he destroyed in pro wrestling, what he felt like he destroyed it, and his journey back to it. One of the things he does, he goes to Mexico and he does lucha libre. And he learns the lucha libre style of pro wrestling. And in one of those parts, they do lucha libre wrestling in the streets, like in traffic. And like they do a match, like a staged match, lucha libre match in the street. And he kind of learns how they earn their living down there for lucha libre. And at the end of his journey in Mexico, the lucha libres that he's working with actually give him a mask.
Oh, that's cool.
If anybody knows in lucha libre, you have to work and earn that respect to earn that mask in lucha libre. And David Arquette did so well that they're like, dude, yeah, you've earned this. So like watching that, I feel like David Arquette is literally the first celebrity to actually step in and actually understand pro wrestling and respect it from what his mistake was back in WCW.
And
and not just make it. Yeah. And it's probably one of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
I'm gonna have to go watch it because I watched his program with Nick Gage.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that and and I got a glimpse of David Arquette because I was
Which,
not
by the
around.
way, do you remember who drove him to the hospital for that from that match?
It was Luke Perry, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Luke Perry and Jack Perry. They were both in the car.
Wow.
They were both in the car driving him to the hospital.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to clip these big things Adam's saying, like making like a short, like like that was really good. I didn't know any of that. I'm actually gonna try to find and watch it after this.
Yeah.
As we start to wind down here and talk about now, who would like between Impact and WWE, who would you guys like to see come over to the AEW roster and who could actually make a difference? The one name that comes to mind when I was working up this last portion of it was Moose. I feel like Moose would be having the whole arena just do the Moose. I feel like he could work in AEW as a good big man because I feel like I know you have Keith Lee, Brian Cage, you have those bigger guys, but they're doing like flips. They're not being a traditional big man. And I think for Moose, I think he would be a great addition to AEW or Ring of Honor. But I think specifically AEW, I think you could have him and build him up to be that next big star. I know he's already a big star in Impact, but I think he needs a bigger stage now. I feel like he's outgrown Impact and Ring of Honor a little bit.
I got a story about Moose actually. He actually stayed at my house one time.
I think you're talking off air about this. What? Yeah, go, dude, tell the story.
He stayed at my house one time. I actually posted a picture of it. I believe one time. I was part of a wrestling promotion. I was booking team and stuff, and he stayed at my house because I can't remember, but he stayed at my house. He stayed in my room, and then how big he is. I shouldn't say this, but just how big men are. Just say he needs to clean up after himself sometimes, especially staying at someone's house.
Oh my gosh.
But like, if you've ever seen Moose, like he looks big on TV, but he's even bigger in person. Because he's like came through our door, he hit his head on and chipped the wood piece off.
Oh gosh, really?
Yeah. So just throwing that out there, that's how tall he really is. Like he looks tall on TV, but he's even taller in person.
I haven't met Moose, but he did wrestle Matt Cardona and Big Cass in front of me. And he was beating at Matt Cardona I was like right here, almost like I could almost like taste his sweat.
Okay.
But he is a tall son of a bitch. Him and Morrissey are just two of the tallest wrestlers out there now.
I hope Moose never sees this. What I just said a few minutes ago.
He's going to see this and he's going to talk to you about it.
But, ignore Connor, Mr. Moose. We would love to have you on Talking Elite, and we would be happy for you to be a guest, interview you, but just ignore Connor's comments because he judges me for my hygiene. So don't, And I'm like wear deodorant, do my hair up, and the pretty boy of the All Elite Zone. So he just criticizes so much when it comes to how we clean up after ourselves.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't really that. It wasn't really like hygiene or stuff. It's just he stayed at my house and he ate his dinner and stuff in my room and then clean it up.
Throw it away.
Well, it is a big mess. Like not really hygiene part. Stuff like that. But
yeah, Mr. Moose, if you're watching this, your hygiene's fine. It's just your eating habits that Connor has an issue with.
Yeah, you're all right. Connor, let's get back in track. We're gonna have a clickbait to that. We should just put as clickbait.
Just put Moose's name in the clickbait.
Moose does not know how to clean up after himself. Gosh. All right, Connor. Okay, back on top. Getting back on topic. Connor, who would you like to see either in either WWE or Impact Wrestling as a single male star? Who would you like to see come over to AEW?
I don't need a second. I don't know who said that. I think it was Adam.
What'd I say?
Who we were talking about just a minute ago.
Oh,
Well, I was a question.
Okay.
I don't
All
forget
right. What?
that whole thing.
Oh my. Okay. Focus. Breathe. Breathe, Connor. Okay, we're almost done.
That whole thing.
Okay. On your.
All right.
Okay, so either in Impact or WWE, what male star in one of those two promotions would you like to see come over to AEW?
Josh Alexander. My favorite dream matches is Ethan Page and Josh Alexander versus Kenny Omega and Hangman. Be really, really good. From WWE going to AEW. Well, Drew Galloway. It's probably not going to happen, but him debuting in at All In would be pretty cool, and him joining the Blackpool Combat Club. It'd be really cool to see Sheamus join the Blackpool Combat Club. There's a lot of people that could join. Wade Barrett, but Drew Galloway would be pretty good in AEW.
Is his contract up soon, or will it be up in time for All In?
I don't think so, but it doesn't look like he's gonna resign until Someone tells me he is going to resign, but he's not going to sign a new contract until his deal's up, I guess. But Joshua Alexander, Impact to AEW, and Drew Galloway, or Drew McIntyre, however you want to call him, to AEW, from WWE to AEW.
Yeah, I would love to see Josh Alexander. He's one of the best in-ring technicians. And to have him go up against like Bryan Danielson, a Kenny Omega, because I would love to see that match run back. There is a lot of different matches that you could possibly do with him.
It's gonna be on Booking Elite, but All Out 2028, I have Kenny Omega as the All Out 2028 Chicago. Kenny Omega as the world champion against Josh Alexander. I booked the whole card, and I put some people who aren't even in AEW. Booked the whole thing.
That's the fun part.
But I feel like Kenny Omega, because like I teased it a little bit in Impact with Everly when Kenny Omega was going back and forth from AEW to Impact. They kind of teased it, but they never did it. So 2028 All Out, and also Brian Pillman Jr. versus David Benoit on the card as well.
Yeah, I would love to see David Benoit come over, but I wonder if he won't ever get an actual big chance because of his last name, sadly.
I don't know. But you could change his last name and people would still say, oh, he looks like Chris Benoit.
Well, that's the thing, because they would know. And he's going under the name Benoit. That's the thing. And he's even said that on his documentary. Like, he's had a hard time getting bookings just because his last name is Benoit, even if he was going under a different name. But he's also trying to bring that name back into more of a positive light instead of what happened with his, stepbrother and stepmom.
Yeah.
So I love, that'd be cool to see Dave Benoit come into AEW or Ring of Honor. Kind of just looking at it now, this probably will never happen, and I would wonder to see if this would work. But Gunter, or I wonder if he's just too much into the WWE at this point, and I wonder if his style, if he could come over to AEW, because him and Moxley would just tear it down with just a striking match. Just have those two go at it in a Texas death match or a Falls Count Anywhere match, whatever you want to call it. Or Gunter and Lance Archer would be great too. But I think he's just the hard part is there's some wrestlers that just wouldn't work in AEW, and I feel like he might be one of them.
Yeah. Him and Moxley are pretty good.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
So for Impact, I'm kind of leaning towards Sami Callihan. I've always been a fan of. I've always been a fan of him. Especially again, I keep mentioning it, but it's all I watched for a while was Lucha Underground, and when he went over there, and then he was Sammy the Snake or something like that when he was part of the Cobra, the Snake Tribe or something like that. It was him, and I'm pretty sure it was Thunder Rosa as Cobra, whatever her name was in Lucha Underground. And then no, he was known as Jacob Snake was his name in Lucha Underground when he was part of that. But I'd love to see. I would love to see. I would love to see him come to AEW. I've been a fan of Sammy Callahan. Someone like Mike Bailey. I really like his style.
Oh, Speedball, yes.
Yeah, I love Mike Bailey.
Oh, I forgot Speedball.
Some of his independent matches are solid as well. WWE. This one may come as a shocker, but Shinsuke Nakamura. Yeah. I would love to see him come to AEW and mix it up with everybody on that roster, especially someone like a Jon Moxley. I mean, having a match, even in Ring of Honor, against someone like Eddie Kingston, because Eddie Kingston's a big fan of that strong style. And Shinsuke Nakamura, I mean, is probably one of the originates of a strong style in Japan. So just seeing those two would mash it up too. So, I mean, those are the only two names that came to my mind.
I would love to see Shinsuke because it feels like WWE hasn't had a chance to book him correctly. I know they had the King Nakamura, which I think was fine. He had a good Intercontinental Championship run, but I think it was a little overshadowed for some dumb storylines that are going on during that time frame. But Nakamura would be great to see up against Kingston or Takeshita. I would say if before he retires, because I'm not sure how much long he wants to wrestle for, but to have him go up against Takeshita, and I feel like that would be almost a Wrestle Kingdom main event right there. So it's one of those things that Nakamura is kind of being limited by WWE because they don't know how to book foreign talent. That's something that I've noticed over the years of watching. I feel like he's been wasted a little bit. I feel like last time I think he was relevant since NXT was when he did his match at WrestleMania with Styles, when he won the Royal Rumble and went against Styles, and just that year was just such a bad year for Japanese talent in WWE because Asuka lost. She lost to Charlotte Flair, an undefeated streak, and you lose to Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
I get Charlotte, but Charlotte didn't need that rep. She didn't need that. She was already. Asuka needed it more. Why book it if you're going to have her lose?
Exactly.
So, tag team. Connor, did you go yet? Oh, yeah, you did, huh?
For tag team?
Not yet. For the male star. Yeah, you did go for the male star, yeah. Tag team wise, who would you like to see? Because I think we might be on the same page with this one.
From Impact to
AEW.
AEW tag team. I don't know. We might not. I don't know. We could. I'm gonna go Motor City Machine Guns.
Yep. That's. I was thinking the same thing.
That kind of goes in with another. I said the North, but Kenny and Hangman versus the North, Ethan and Josh Alexander versus Motor City Machine Guns for the AEW World Titles, All Out 2028. Scratch that, but basically North Motor City Machine Guns, Kenny and Hangman. A lot of match for the titles. Be really, really good.
Yeah. But it's one of those things that is Chris Sabian, is he an Impact lifer? That's the thing. Or does he have, or would he be intrigued to go over to AEW and become World Tag Team Champions? Especially, looking at having matches with FTR. I know because they faced off each other. Was it Rampage that went against each other, or did they? Who did they go up against?
It was a 6-man tag.
FTR,
yeah, it wasn't really. Well, I thought they should have got like an actual tag match,
but like an actual for the championship. Yeah. Motor City for me, like that was kind of like a no-brainer because really I can't think of really any other team besides Heath and Rhino right now in Impact Wrestling.
I was say Chris Bay and Ace Austin.
Oh, Chris Bay and Ace Austin would be
Ace
great.
Austin, yeah.
Yeah. I think WWE just throwing this out there, but if Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, and El Generico could come over to AEW, but I don't know if that's just far dreaming there, man. That's a far dream.
Hey, it almost happened last year, wasn't it? When his contract was up.
But Kevin Owens used it as leverage. He never wanted
to signed
to go
back.
to AEW.
but it almost, because the Young Bucks were kind of teasing it there for a minute.
Yeah. Which sucks because I think that's another big moment right there that could be that could be a big feature on your show. That could be like your Kevin Nash and Scott Hall jumping ship.
Oh, yeah, it could be. Now you say that.
But yeah, that's like those are my two picks for the tag team. Do you have any from WWE you want to see, Connor?
Do they even have tag teams anymore?
It's hard. I know there's the Usos, but they're lifers at this point.
Let's see. I guess Gallows and Anderson.
Back, yeah. I wish they would get the club back.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm surprised.
I guess the Alpha Academy, just really not even for Otis, really just for Chad Gable, just to get him. I really feel like he could be a world champion if they just. Well, he could be the next Kurt Angle, but they don't see that in him. They just see him as any other wrestler, just to lose and all that.
But fans see it though.
Yes, I see it, and they're looking for the next Kurt Angle where you got him in front of you. You don't have to go looking in the Olympics, so you're not going to find another Kurt Angle in the Olympics. Yeah, probably the Alpha Academy. What is really called, the Alpha Academy?
Yeah. Well, I would even say Otis too. I feel like because Otis has potential, but he plays that goofball character. I feel like he kind of needs a little more.
Is he still going out with Mandy?
No, because they kind of split off.
She got released for naughty photos.
Yes. Yeah. So, and she loved her time with Otis. Like,
she's gonna have coal under her tree.
Nice. But looking at it, I feel like Otis could be better.
Yeah.
And I missed, what was that tag team was in XT? What was that tag team?
Tucker, Heavy Machinery.
Yeah, Heavy Machinery. I feel like they had promise too, but then Tucker got buried by Otis and
Joey Titan turned heel, and then he fell to the face of the earth.
Yeah. Another. Yeah, I feel like Tucker could have been something, or could be something still.
Oh, this is something.
I don't even know. Is he still with WWE, or he get released?
Yeah, he got released. I don't know if he wrestles anymore.
I don't think so, because I don't see him announced on independent scenes, or I feel like he would have showed up in Impact at least.
Now, this is I said Blackpool Combat Club about Chad Gable and the Blackpool Combat Club. Sort of kind of like Will Yuta, but he fits that mold with that thing with like Bryan Danielson. He fits that.
I feel like almost reminds me of Charlie Haas.
Yes, a little bit of Kurt Angle and Charlie Haas, especially with the suplex, the rolling suplex. What's the move called where he rolls over and then suplexes?
Yeah,
he's got the selling like Kurt Angle, like he can cry in a match. He has that emotion. He has the moves like Charlie Haas. He's got the body like Jason Jordan. He has something to show him, Benjamin. He has that. I believe I said this before about Survivor Series Team Angle with Kurt Angle, Shelton Benjamin, Charlie Haas, and Jason Jordan and Chad Gable would have been something.
Yeah, it would have been. Adam, what about you? Do you have any tag teams you like to see jump ship?
Imperium from WWE. I like it. I like their gimmicks. All three of them. Like you said, Gunther or Walter. I think having those three over, I think they can definitely have a good program with House of Black for the trios title. Especially Walter, just with those chops. I'd love to see him and Brody King just go toe to toe and everything like that. That'd just be pretty awesome just to see. Just because I was a big fan of that triple threat match at WrestleMania between him, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre. From Impact, I'd like to see at least maybe two members of Honor No More come over. Maybe like a PCO and Eddie Edwards come over.
That Trinity, almost in a way.
Yeah, pretty much. So I like to see them come over, do some stuff over in AEW. Just because even though he's getting up there in age, PCO can still just put his body through some crazy shit.
Yes.
It'd be pretty cool to see Well, you can.
No, good.
I was gonna say that having I don't know more story in Ring of Honor.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would
Very cool.
fit perfect, especially with because you think about it, they've been not buried, but they've lost most of matches since they've been in AEW and ROH of the Kingdom, so they could easily just continue or do their own version of Honor No More.
Yeah,
because unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna happen with Eddie Edwards. That's why I didn't put him on the list because I know he's signed for the next 5 years with Impact Wrestling, which is crazy. Like, I haven't really heard of that long of a contract for Impact.
Oh, the Undertaker signed, or Booker T. He signed until 2034 in WWE.
Who cares? But sorry, I love Booker. Like I feel like he's my favorite wrestlers of all time. But he's just a WWE shield this time. Same thing with Road Dogs. They're just WWE shields. Same thing with Eric Bischoff. When they found out they couldn't get a job with AEW, they just turned their backs on it and criticized it. Like John Moxley had the best quote today about some of the criticisms towards AEW that they're just old men with a podcast. It's so, especially with Cornette, but looking at him, like you guys are saying that, especially when Road Dogg was better than Bret Hart. I'm like, dude, I remember more moments with Bret. I remember more moments with Bret Hart than I do with you, Road Dogg, because at least Bret Hart was, he was in his own faction with the Hart Foundation, but you remember also Bret Hart as in moments with his brother. You remember him with Stone Cold. Like he's more stand out than. All I know with Road Dogg is, oh, you didn't know? Well, your ass better call somebody. That's all I really remember of him. And maybe like the DX Invasion. That's it. I
BG
don't remember
James.
a lot. Yeah.
Get it, got it, good.
Don't remember that at all. Sorry, I don't. I'm starting to watch WCW from like this or from the Nitro start again. So maybe I'll cross-platform and do the Monday Night War as well, and just go watch Raw's War, and just go back and forth like we did back in the day. But it's like I said, it's one of those things that we talk about it many a times in the show. But
I feel like you should at least watch AEW to criticize, because Booker T doesn't even watch. He's admitted that he doesn't watch AEW.
Yeah, it's just to make himself look better for his employer. And which is weird because he trained Sammy Guevara. He trained Ember Moon.
Yep.
I'm just saying, like, wouldn't you want to support? I know you may not like the whole product, but wouldn't you, especially like Sammy? Sammy's been cutting some of the best promos of his career.
Yeah.
So the one now this is our last round. This wrestler, I believe, would be a lot better outside of WWE as of right now, especially after her match at Mania. But Asuka, I think Asuka needs to jump ship, because I feel like she's another one like a Toni Storm, a Saraya. I feel like she could help elevate the women's division in AEW and almost do a AEW women's revolution. She's got the look, she's got the entrance, she's got the mask, the face paint. She's very toyetic with action figures. Like you can easily bring her over and treat her like a star and not make her look like she's weak, because you had one of the best women's wrestlers come up through NXT undefeated, but yet she has not won a WrestleMania match. Like you had so much momentum. Is it just because she's a Triple H girl? Is that why? But
like I seen a backstage thing tonight. She was literally crying because she got attacked backstage, like literally crying. Like that's not Asuka.
Like there's nothing wrong with selling, but
like it was just over dramatic.
The only time I really think that she did well in recent memory was during the pandemic. Yeah. Like when she won the Money in the Bank, Titan Towers match.
And she,
But that's really it. Like I think she deserves better, and I feel like AEW could give that, to her. I wouldn't be right now if I was AEW. I'd be focusing on your women talent now. I'd really stop signing your male athletes and just start looking at your female roster.
Unless it's
Good.
Sorry. This is unless it's someone like really valuable, like Roderick Strong or like someone really valuable, But I agree, the women.
Yeah. And another pick, if I'm going to go with Impact Wrestling, but Deonna Purrazzo.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she hasn't signed with WWE or AEW at this point. She's the biggest, aside from Mickie James, she's the biggest female star in Impact Wrestling. She's very loyal to that brand, and her husband, like, I don't know if they're lifers, but man, like they're really carrying that company and making it a must-watch show. And Deonna Purrazzo, I feel like she got screwed over when she lost the ROH championship.
Yeah.
Like it felt like you didn't give her time. She did not seem interested in that match at all. And you could easily make that part of the story and say, hey, like, a redemption arc almost in a way. So I think Deonna Purrazzo would be another great fit for AEW, which I don't know if there's bad blood there or not. So that's kind of why she's my second pick besides Asuka.
Impact
Connor.
Someone. Well, they sent someone that Impact. She was just like Jamie Hayter. I can't remember what her name is, but she looks like she'd be another step forward in the women's division. Like I think like the two main people in the women's division from the match at Full Gear is Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the best women's matches I've seen in AEW. And being there live to see it just made it like, of course I got other good women in AEW like Britt Baker, Ruby Soho. I'm missing a lot, but I can't remember her name. I seen her this weekend too. This last weekend. I can't remember her name is, but she looks really like Jamie Hayter, and she's really, really good. And she actually filmed the match for AEW Dark while under Impact contract. God, I really wish I could remember her name.
You'll remember it. Is there anybody that you would like to see jump ship, Connor, woman wise?
The one I'm talking about, her or Deonna Purrazzo.
Yeah, I can see that. Anybody from WWE?
Chelsea Green. I really like Chelsea Green.
I'm surprised she went back.
Yeah, I remember her saying about AEW, like her and AEW would not be a good fit. I don't know why.
I think it just comes down to, unfortunately, Matt Cardona. I feel like he had a bad pitch, apparently.
At
least that's what Cody said. But
yeah, Matt Cardona. Well, there's two people, but WWE, Chelsea Green or Liv Morgan.
I'd love to see Liv Morgan. I would even like to see Mandy Rose at this point. She's free agent. Bring her over.
Now Jim Cornette did say this, and I do agree with, like from a viewer standpoint, like you could get, like, if you're going to pay between Sasha Banks or Mandy Rose, you could get Mandy Rose at a discount price and increase your viewership in the male demographic.
Yeah,
because it's Mandy Rose. But she can also wrestle. A lot of people don't.
Oh no, she's one. She was very talented in the ring.
In NXT, like a lot of people forget that it's not. Of course, she's got looks and stuff, but she's actually pretty good in the ring.
Better than Eva Marie.
She even have a match. Did you guys see today that she's interested in coming back to WWE?
That wouldn't surprise me with Vince back in charge.
Like that's when Vince is back, But Chelsea Green or Liv Morgan would be pretty good.
Yeah.
WWE to AEW.
All right, we are saying the best for last. Our last take of the show tonight, Adam.
Impact. I've got 2, maybe 3. I'd like to see Masha Slamovich come over to AEW. Yeah, I'd like to see her come over. Because she can mix it up with both the girls, and if she wanted to wrestle the dudes in AEW, she could. Like she's a brute, man. I mean, if you watched her match with Nick Gage for the GCW championship. It was insane. Just all her matches are just crazy, but she's so talented. I would also maybe Jordan Grace. I'd love to see her come over to AEW, has some solid matches there. And then maybe see Deanna Perasso come over. Yeah. I'd like to see her come over. I know she came over the one time to wrestle Mercedes Martinez for that unifying match for the championships. But WWE, again, I'm with you. Probably Asuka. I'd love to see someone like Bailey. Bailey might be a good take in AEW, and then Alexa Bliss. I think Alexa Bliss can definitely use a reset, and I think AEW would be a good reset for her because she's kind of like a Sky Blue. She's so talented. She's young. She's a good-looking face. So I think those are pretty much all the women I would love to see come over to AEW, kind of mix it up.
I think especially with Alexa, looking at her right now, she's kind of in limbo still because ever since she had everything happen with the Fiend, and that whole Bray Wyatt story arc, nothing's gone her way. At one time, she was the top of the women's division. She had the look, the move set, she had the entrance gear, and then I liked her acting, especially during the pandemic when there was no fans. Like, it gave us something.
Yeah.
But then after the whole redemption, whatever it was, the exorcism, I guess you could say, she never got back to that level. And it's hard to see because I know she had cancer and just got the surgery to remove that little cancer. But dude, like, I bet she would have been ready for WrestleMania. She should have been, or in the Royal, or in a better spot in the Royal Rumble. You don't have to have her win it, but someone like her, like, you should be building your base around. She's almost like the four pillars of the women's division, like Alexa Bliss, Bailey. Like, you should be building your pillars around that, and then you have like Shotzi Blackheart that are doing great too, but you're not. But Alexa Bliss, like, you've completely forgotten about her, and she was a Triple H girl. She was a Dusty girl. Yeah, she was. Yeah, and so she's just kind of got lost in the shuffle. So yeah, I think that's kind of why we did our little shakeup tonight, was because we look at it. Most of the people on our list, except for maybe a few of them, really like. They need almost like a rejuvenate of their career, or like that next push to get them to the next step, and having them go to Japan or jumping ship to different companies. I feel like it kind of helped bring out what the importance of having multiple promotions are, instead of just having you have the monopoly, and then you have the smaller shows like Impact, Ring of Honor. Looking at with AEW now and having that relationship with Japan. Like, you have, like, theoretically the best wrestling products right now that we've had probably since the war. But I think fans just don't see it because they're too busy being tribalistic, or they're fickle. They're fickle. Our favorite word on the podcast, brought to you by Brian Danielson. But if you look at it, it's sad. It really is sad. Yeah. So. I touch base about it all the time with you guys, how sometimes wrestling fans just piss me off. Like, I'm just like, can you guys just enjoy the product? Like, we've got many promotions you can watch. Just be happy. And like I said, that's the hard part, is fans are the hard part. It's another thing too, because I'm guilty of this myself, but there's times like where we fantasy book something too good in our heads, heck booking, but like I said, it's one of those things. I think if we could just, I know we usually talk about this every week, but I think if us fans would just relax a little bit and just try to enjoy the product, get proper criticisms. You don't have to enjoy the whole story, because if I had to sit through, Raw after WrestleMania, I would be pissed too. Like, when you have what, 2 or 3 matches on the card. The rest of it's promos, backstage angles, and Elias getting squashed. Yeah. So, like I said, it's a weird time and a good time for it to be wrestling. He has some of the best stories going on right now. So, make sure you guys hit subscribe down below. Good.
I've got that picture of trying to. She looks just like Jamie Hayter. Like they could literally be a tag team. She apparently she was in WWE before. I didn't know that. Let's see.
Well, while you're pulling that up, make sure you guys hit subscribe down below, hit the bell, and like us. We do watch alongs every week for Dynamite, Rampage, Ring of Honor, and we also go back and watch WCW as well. My Connor is pulling that up. Did you get? Oh, her. I can't remember what her name is.
I don't know her name. Okay, I can't really pronounce this either.
But okay, yeah. So cool. Yeah, she's cool.
She's currently in Impact, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I got a computer right in front of me.
Nice.
I looked on the roster page and she wasn't on there, but her name's Steph D. Lander.
Steph D. Lander.
Oh yeah, Steph. Okay.
I've heard her name. I don't think. Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, awesome. Hope she comes to AEW eventually. So, all right, guys. Well, that's gonna do it for Talking Elite this week. Like I said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe down below. Make sure you guys do a comment on who you guys would like to see either switch companies, switch brands. We love talking wrestling, and we might read out the comment on the next Talking Elite. Next week, we are doing our wrestling spotlight because I forgot to do it this week. So next week, we'll be doing a wrestling spotlight on one of the biggest stars in AEW at the moment. He is the leader of Blackpool Combat Club, in my opinion. We're going to be talking about Jon Moxley. So prepare for us to bleed like pigs. It's gonna be a fun night as we talk about his independent days to Dean Ambrose to where he's at now and one of the most decorated world champions in our sport. So we'll be talking about Jon Moxley next week, and then we'll see you guys tomorrow night for our Dynamite watch along right here on our channel at 7 Central. So do you guys have anything else to say before we sign off?
I don't know. You covered about all of it.
All right, guys. Well, take care, and we will see you guys next time.